Hello, this is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is May 6, 2024. Welcome to the program. I wanted to talk today about the federal government policy on education. And briefly, it states that it is supposed to serve to support the education system of state and local governments through funding and regulation of elementary, secondary, and post-secondary education. All right, so all of that sounds good. There is a cost, though, and briefly, every year we're spending roughly $870 billion. Now, keep in mind that there's over 300 million people in the country. So, if you look at how many of us are in school or trying to raise our kids through in the education system, maybe the cost makes sense. What I want to focus on is areas that don't really get talked about a lot. So the first one is the transition from high school to college, and do we need national standards? So there are experts in this field, and there are countries where that works at: France, Hungary, Ireland, Italy. But keep in mind that their education systems are slightly different from ours. For example, in Germany, you go to 12th or 13th grade and the standards are different. So that would be almost like having an associate's degree. So we have to compare apples to apples. High school does not prepare you for college. I used to teach college, as you know, and I've mentioned that in another podcast or two. And there are gaps depending on which states you're from. And students, they are not academically in trouble, they just have not been exposed to the information. Some states do it better than others. And if you look at it, the graduation rates are pretty good. And the top 10 states are Iowa, West Virginia, Alabama, Indiana, and Kentucky. Now, that will become important to our discussion a little later on. But the bottom line with, are we prepared from high school? We are not. The next one would be, why are students failing to graduate from college? Well, and it ties into the first one. If high school doesn't prepare you for college, you have a higher probability of not graduating from college. Now, if you look at our standards, it depends on the state that you are in. And it doesn't guarantee success, but maybe national standards could be the way to go. Currently, the U.S. government controls the education by funding. So if you're doing something in your state that they don't like, they'll just quit funding you. We are not really focused on math and science either. It looks like if you talk to people in the country, for whatever reason, most young people don't like math and science in general. So don't really know why they don't or what the answer is to spark the interest. It also means that if you go to college and you don't graduate, normally you don't ever go back, and then you're stuck with this debt. And now that we have the president relieving debt, I looked it up and I couldn't tell if he's forgiven debt for individuals who don't even graduate from college. The next one is, are there some degrees that just don't translate into jobs? I would say so. And we've been talking about the technical schools. And that's why I say that depending on the state that you are in, maybe the national curriculum won't work for you. So that's why it's up in the air whether the national curricula, because that's what a lot of the policymakers in the education department think. So you can go back and forth because one reason will make you want it, and then other reasons will make you not want it so much. The other thing is, too, the jobs that we are competing for depend on how much money you want to make. So the technical degrees are going to yield more money than, say, like those that are like social program related degrees. So now I want to transition to the most important piece of it. So we have this policy, and I've talked about a couple of things that the state and local governments are doing the funding. So in general, the federal government, state and local governments are trying to do the best that they can with $870 billion that's out there. The one issue or two that need to be talked about is students need to focus on education, not social issues. There is no information out there really about what students are required to do when they show up to school. And if you go and you look on the internet, the students' position is that the teachers, no matter what level you're at, to include college, have to accommodate what the students want. If you look abroad, and that information was hard to find, that's not the case. They are not talking about all of these social issues, and you know what they are without me telling you. They are focused on reading, writing, and math, and history a little bit, maybe more current history than we are doing. And the students seem to be very, very interested at that point. The other thing is we cannot accommodate every group. So if you look at the schools, even within the United States, that are successful and not successful with high school graduation rates, it has nothing to do with color, because New Mexico is has one of the worst high school graduation rates, yet they have all types of people there, because I've heard people saying all of these issues with students being discriminated against because of the way that they look. So that is absolutely not true. If you don't believe it, just go check the stats. What really matters is what state and local officials are doing to make sure that people are getting the right education. The reason that I'm making this podcast is when I was an educator, I saw that. I used to be a substitute teacher, and also I used to be an adjunct faculty member. So I've seen both of these experiences, And I can tell you that when you're in the schools, that unless you change students to want to be there and to think that they're learning something beneficial and to take out what they look like, you're never going to have positive results. And we're going to spend taxpayer dollars on education and not reach 40% of the students. And then these students are going to go to college and then they're going to experience the same issues because what they were taught does not get them ready for higher education, and then they're going to drop out. This is George. This is Just Listen. Let me know what you think.